South Florence community listeners, to the second installment of our What's Bruin podcast, where we explore a variety of topics related to South Florence High School. You can find a link to this podcast on the South Florence homepage and on our Facebook page. You will also be able to find us on YouTube at the Studio South 535. I'm Liz Collins.
And I'm Jordan Cooper.
And today we're going to speak to members of student government to discuss what South Florence student government is, what student government does, and how members of the student body can become a member. Before we start, we should say a special thank you to our sound engineer, Eric Terry. I'd like to welcome the following members of student government as guests today. Our current student body president, Jordan Cooper, who will be hosting most of this podcast today. Our current student body vice president, Addison Purnell, as well as Giovanni Brown, our student body committee chair, Tamia Avant, our junior class vice president, Alyssa Rabin, sophomore class treasurer, and Ella Lewis, freshman class president. We also have a last-minute guest who's going to be with us, Kimora Davis, who is our student body secretary. So welcome, everybody. Jordan, you've served in student government for 4 years. What are some key points you would like to share with our audience about SGA?
Well, to break the ice, I would say not to apply if you can't give your all to this organization. We work. That's what we pride ourselves off of. So if you're not able to meet those standards, then I would suggest finding something else to do, honestly.
Okay. So how is this year as student body president different from your previous years of serving?
It's definitely very challenging. From working with Ms. Josie and Ms. Collins, the SGA advisor, you're expected to do a lot. You're held to a higher standard than the student body. So they expect you to get things done. They expect you, without asking, to get things done,
True.
Which is most important. So I've been given a lot more tasks than other executive positions.
One of which is keeping the advisor.
Yeah, because the advisor sometimes can be forgetful. That's the correct term.
So, Addison, like Jordan, you made the transition from class office to student body. How's that experience different from being a class officer?
The demands are very different. They're very more forthgoing. I can say it's more of a take charge position. Like you're expected to do way more, and that's how it should be. You're definitely held to a higher standard, and like even though elections coming up, like we'll say 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be the next student body president. So it just gives me the opportunity to see what I need to do. And Jordan's a good leader and follower.
So
it definitely helped me grow my leadership skills and my public speaking skills.
You have been very much in the public eye this year, both of you, with pageant and saying the pledge every day and a lot of opportunities to grow. Well, what words of wisdom or advice would you give others who have never served but are considering joining?
I think we're going to bring in Giovanni Brown, one of our student body committee chairs, to answer that question.
Okay, so some words of wisdom that I would give to other students who've never served but consider joining is that being a part of SGA comes with a great deal of responsibility, but it can also be a lot of fun. Just because we have a bunch of responsibility doesn't mean we don't have fun in particular. And I also believe that SGA provides a valuable opportunity to connect with others and develop leadership skills, like being after Jordan and Ms. Collins and Addison. They all teach you how to be a good leader, and I think that's very good. You can learn if you join. Also, I think it's important to stay humble. Like, whatever position you're running for and you end up getting it, it's good to stay humble and to stay on task to your position. Don't just slack off just because you won that position.
And to add to that, Giovanni, after that wonderful statement about SGA president and vice president, I think it's important that if you do run for a position and you lose and you become a legislator, our legislators this year have been very involved, I will say. So I think being a legislator is something not necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, you can still be involved and still be a part of the decision making in the council.
Yeah, well, Giovanni's a classic example. She did not win. She served as sophomore class president.
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't win the junior class president race, but she didn't take her marbles and go home.
Right.
She just kept working as usual. And that really is what we're all about.
Right. She's been a fantastic asset to our organization.
Giovanni, Tamia, you two have been really active, and you managed to participate in a lot of other activities. So I think it would be important for listeners to hear, how do you manage it, and what might prospective members need to know? Tamia?
Well, I've been in SGA for, going on 3 years now. And this year I've been very active. I'm on varsity cheer, competition cheer, soccer, along with student government, Chick-fil-A Leadership Academy, and more clubs. Plus, I still have schoolwork and outside life. So I stay busy on my feet. In my opinion, if you do not understand how to balance your time, set reminders, always think that there is more than one thing to do a day, you will be able to get through, because that's what I do every day. Well, organization and managing things is the most important thing when it comes to having so many activities at once.
The way that I manage all of my extracurricular activities, so I'm personally always on my phone or my computer. I make sure that I prioritize my different activities. So say, for instance, I have a SGA event that I have to attend. I make sure that I put that at the top of the list. So like anything else that comes after that, I make sure to keep it down the list, because SGA to me is my number one priority right now. I also make sure I be organized, because if you're not organized, you might accidentally schedule multiple activities on the same day. And for future members that want to join, I feel like it's important to understand that without proper organization, managing all of your extracurricular activities can become very challenging.
Thank you, Giovanni and Tamia. So, Jordan, I'm going to let you field some of these upcoming questions, because you are, after all, the leader of this organization.
Somehow.
What are somehow. So what are some additional points we should be sharing, and what questions or topics would listeners want to know?
Well, I think we should bring in our freshman class president, Ella Lewis, and Alyssa Rabin, sophomore class treasurer, to talk about what they both each enjoy about being in student government.
I personally enjoy the people. This year has been so great, just meeting new people, and all of them have been so helpful, particularly Addison. I don't think I could have gotten through this year without her. At the beginning of the year, I was so stressed out about just things that I had never done before, and new territory that I didn't really know how to handle, and the people just really were uplifting and gave me so much advice, and I'm thankful for that.
I agree with Ella, but I also enjoy doing the service projects. A lot of people are probably like, oh, this nerd, she likes to work, blah, blah, blah. But it makes you feel good to know that you're benefiting your community, and you also get to be around people that you enjoy being around. Everyone in student government is like a big old family, and I just think going out and doing stuff for the betterment of everybody, including South Florence, Florence in general, it just makes you feel good, and it makes you have a good time.
Giovanni?
Yes, about SGA, I enjoyed making new friends throughout the year. So, for example, when I first joined SGA in 9th grade, I barely knew Jordan. And as the years went on, me and Jordan just kind of created a bond, which I thought was nice.
What an honor.
I also enjoy going to service projects, because as service projects go on, we as SGA members, we get to bond, and yeah.
For me, I enjoy student government because it brings out so many skills in each and every one of us that we didn't even realize that we had. This program allows us to see real professionalism and maturity. Also, I love meeting new people and fellowshipping with the council and people we come in contact with through service projects.
And another question members might have, or people who want to be members might have, what do people who want to join our organization need to consider before joining?
So I would say definitely consider your commitment levels, because members of SGA should be on time, they should be punctual, they should make it to all of the meetings that they can, and we ultimately have to serve as a good influence to our peers and to adults. So just make sure you're ready for those early morning meetings, because I know sometimes it gets hard. Make sure you're ready to go to the service projects, and you'll have a good time.
I also agree with Alyssa. If you're not ready to fully commit to SGA might not be the right choice for you because SGA requires a lot of work and dedication. So if you're not willing to put in the effort, it's best to consider your other options.
Being a part of SGA means that you are held to a higher standard than other students in the school. Teachers shouldn't have to tell you to remove hats or earphones or to constantly put your IDs on. These are things that you should complete daily with no one requesting you to do it. Also, you should respect all adults, including teachers, and keep all your grades up.
I think that you should take in consideration time management because being a part of SGA, like Alyssa said, is a full-time commitment, and there's a lot of things that go on in life. You should consider whether or not you have enough time to really put your whole heart and soul into being good for SGA.
I'm going to bring our student body secretary into the conversation. Kamora, how does SGA actually serve the school?
This organization serves our school by helping where we are needed for any events happening here at South Florence. Another way members serve our school is by partaking in various service projects throughout the school year, such as campus cleanup or providing various turkeys for staff during Thanksgiving. But I believe the biggest way that we serve our school is by constantly reminding each other to represent our school in a positive manner. So just making sure that we hold ourselves responsible for any rules or expectations that our school has for us as students.
Tamia, what are some ways we grow in public, and what message has especially been hard to convey to the student body at large?
We grow the most in public by gaining our communication, problem-solving skills, and relationship skills. So many of us are still young, and sometimes we don't know how to communicate with adults or older people.
And I want to add something to that, along with our student body vice president. I think something that's also been a challenge is creating a united front. Us as members of student government, we stand together. Anything we discuss in our full council meetings, they stay in those full council meetings until we agree to announce it to the student body at once. I think, Addison, you can add on that.
Yes, say it louder for the people in the back. I can agree with that. I just feel like our council as a whole this year, like we're a good council, and I understand like we were a lot bigger this year, and like sometimes with bigger groups, a lot of things are prone to happen. And I feel like at the most part we prepare for it. I know for like me and Jordan, for instance, like we always made sure, like during elections last year, we always made sure we were going to show a united front. No matter what went on in the meetings, no matter what happened with other members, we always showed a united front.
And to add on that, that doesn't mean agreeing with what is being done. That means whatever's discussed in that meeting, you present that to who might be asking you, you know.
Because your student body voted you for a reason. So if we're not working together, then what's actually going to get done?
Yes, that is so true.
And we know there's elections coming up in a few weeks. So what's some information students should know who want to run for office?
Treat it like a job. Treat it like a job. That's like that. That's going to be my motto for right now. Treat it like a job. And what I mean by that is that if SGA is not going to be your number one priority throughout your other extracurriculars, because I understand completely, I have other extracurriculars, you might not need to do it. And I know for most people, like communication was not our greatest strength this year. Like it could have been better. And I understand everybody have a lot of things going on. And excuses. Some excuses are just invalid excuses, shall I say.
To add on to Addison, I like to say that campaigning is a big part, that if you want to run for office, you need to campaign, because if you do not campaign, many people will not find out about you. And for instance, the speeches this year, I know they're optional, but I feel like a speech is a good way for you to get out there because the speeches do show on BNN. And many people watch BNN throughout the school. So if you will say your speech, you'll be able to voice your opinions on your student body and say how you would help your class.
I want to bring in also to add on that, Miss Collins, the advisor. Anything on that?
Well, we've had some instances in the past where, you know, we're at a big gathering, all of us are working, all of you are working, I'm really just sort of there, but you're working and, you know, big event is happening, and when we're at big events, emotions are running high, so people are excited, but sometimes people forget, oh, everybody's working. This is about learning leadership, and leadership is putting forth the best picture. And that means everybody in the organization, and we certainly, we want to make sure that people understand that if I'm not, entertaining you and having, a coffee conversation with you every moment, it's not because we don't care, it's because we literally are working. And so there's sort of a time and place for that interchange of, if we disagree about something. We do that behind closed doors, and I love that about this group. Everybody's been so professional. I guess the key thing that I would say is watching everyone grow in their professionalism. Jordan, Addison. I know Addison came in last year a little, overwhelmed maybe, but she's been a champ. She's risen to the occasion. Kimora. We've just had, Nadia. We didn't have Nadia here today, but we've had just a super strong team. The results have been pretty impressive.
All right. Let's go to the Pledge of Allegiance each morning. So each of our executives speak on the intercom each morning. Let's ask Addison first. How has that changed your interaction at large?
I know for this year, being my first time as an executive, it has given me the chance to learn people around my school better and even our community and put a face to the name when they hear it. Like, this is really random. I don't know why this happened to me. I was at lunch one day and I went through the line and the lunch lady, she scanned my ID and she literally screamed. She was like, "Are you Addison Purnell?" And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." She was like, "I hear you every morning." She was like, "I'm so proud of you." She was like, "I never knew who you were, but now I do."
You got a fan.
But simple stuff like that, just knowing that, because even though I got voted for the position, everybody in the whole school does not know me. That's just the reality of it.
For me, speaking on the intercom, I just believe that it just gave people the opportunity to approach me. The Pledge of Allegiance and saying other announcements takes a lot of courage. So I believe when students or staff hear your name and your voice on the intercom, they learn a little bit about you. Maybe that you're bold or outspoken or a leader. And I think they begin to just view you from that perspective. And I could testify that this opportunity allows others to recognize you and feel comfortable with approaching you about different things.
Alyssa and Ella, I know y'all are not executives, but you do hear us, and you're in our full council meetings. So any thoughts on that?
Well, it's really encouraging to hear the executives speak because for me, it reminds us, not only myself, but my classmates who aren't in SGA, that students have a role to play in our school other than just sitting in a classroom and doing our schoolwork. Mm-hmm. Teachers look for SGA members to run their errands, to solve problems, to relay information that happens in the meetings. They ask us about dates. They ask us about events. I mean, sometimes we know more than the teachers at our school do because we're held to a higher standard when it comes to this sort of thing. The morning announcements are just one of the many SGA responsibilities, and I think it's very encouraging for our fellow peers to see us up there taking a stance in the school other than just sitting in class.
Yeah. Personally, I had an experience, and it was more about, wow, I didn't really know that people didn't understand what SGA was and what role we played in the school. But I remember it was when y'all first started announcing in the mornings, and I walked into class and I heard your voice and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Addison's on the intercom." And they were like, "Who's Addison? Why are they announcing all of a sudden?" And I was like, "Oh, you didn't know? SGA started announcing." And they were like, "No, I didn't really even know that SGA did anything." And it's just crazy to think we're so involved in SGA and work so hard for certain projects in the community and the school. And some people don't even know we have SGA. So I think this year has been a lot more awakening because when we first started this school year, when I was going around getting my signatures, a lot of people were like, "What is this for? What are y'all doing? Why are you doing this?" And more people know, a lot more people are involved. I had so many people wanting to participate in Powder Puff after, they really figured out what SGA was and, the kind of events we organized. It's just crazy to think, each year we grow more and more.
Yeah, and to add on to you, like you said, those other clubs are run by adults. I think that's one of the things that makes SGA stand out because, yes, we do have a fantastic advisor, Ms. Collins. But at the
Yes.
same time, she allows us to take charge and to get things done. So that's a little...
I will say, at the beginning of the year, I was so nervous coming in when I realized, oh my gosh, I'm doing this by myself. But we've gotten the hang of it, and it has made me a better person.
Yes. Ella, this is for you. You're the youngest and newest member of our organization. What was your first impression? What's something you liked in the beginning, and what have you learned?
Like I've said many times, my first impression was definitely like, wow, this is a lot. And I think something I would like to have known in the beginning was definitely, raising money and float building, mainly because at the beginning of the year we just kind of like jumped in and we were like, we're doing floats, we're doing this, you've got to build your float. And I was like, whoa, how, wait, where? It was crazy, but we got it done, and it was so much fun once we figured out how to do it. It's just a learning process. You just have to trust the process and don't let the commitment scare you out of doing it. I think that's the most important thing to remember.
I think you just came up with our new motto. To all of you, and chime in as you see fit, but you all know we want this organization to grow. But at the same time, this isn't a resume builder. We really work in this organization. So what are some of the skills that serve members well?
I think responsibility is important, but I also think that you need drive. If you don't want to serve your community, it's just going to feel like a chore to you. And it is a great place to, hang out and have fun with your friends and all. But if you're not going to work, then there's no reason for you to be a part of this, because that's what we're all about. And that's what we're teaching ourselves to do.
Along with responsibility, I think active listening, comprehension, and understanding is some skills that you need to have. For active listening, when Jordan or Addison or your student body, when they talk, you need to listen to them and don't just disregard what they're trying to say. And you need to have a level of understanding. So even though you might not agree, you need to understand where they're coming from. So put yourself in their shoes and see where they're coming from. You should be able to listen attentively to others and comprehend their inputs and understand them.
I think that some things that our members, majority of our members are good, but some things that I know I hear around the hallways is, I want to do SGA for my college application. Yes, it's good to have on your college application, but that should not be the reason you want to do it. You should do it because you want to help yourself and benefit yourself.
Kamora, what kind of prospective members would you like to see join the organization?
For me, members that I would like to see join this group is those who are willing to work and who have goals for themselves. And when it comes down to being a member of this group, you really have to have a passion for helping others. And I think it's that passion that really does make the difference. Students should not just join this group if they're only concerned about benefiting themselves, but if they actually want to make an impact to the school and their community.
Well, Addison and Jordan, as we wind this down, what would you say to upcoming freshmen? Because we haven't really addressed those people who are at the middle school but will soon be joining us at the Freshman Academy. So, of course, we want them to participate. What should they be looking out for?
I would say that I love this organization because of us showing up. We always show up to every single event the school has. And one of the things we do show up to is registration. We're here when teachers are here to get people to join our organization, but to also show that we care. And that's one of the things that we do. We have our own table. Each class comes on the assigned day that you have. And the members set up something for you, especially freshmen. On freshman day, executives come. And we have a clipboard, and we take names. We email those who are interested. Addison?
Yes, I know for some upcoming freshmen, we'll say August is our special election. So if we have freshmen at open house that would like to join SGA, check your emails. But also, you could probably ask one of our executive officers that in August we'll have a special election, which will be for our freshmen, and we meet on every second Wednesday of the month. It always has been like that, and it will stay like that. And They should be elected, and they will be in attendance at our September meeting. Also, attending registration can give you more information about running in the fall and how we go about running, our do's and don'ts, and everything that it comes to with our speeches and things of that nature.
And to close on that, I would just say that this organization is just really fun. It's not, it's a job, but at the same time, the fun kind of takes the job part away, and you just get to,
We're kind of a family.
Right, a family. The fellowshipping, donuts all the time. I wonder who pays for those.
I know.
But at the same time, it's just really fun, and we're all friends. We're a family, like Addison said, and so joining this organization really gets you to be vulnerable, I would say.
Yes.
Well, I've enjoyed your camaraderie, and it's true. Y'all are very honest with one another,
and talkative.
And yes, but also you have learned as a leader, as Addison said, criticism's not personal. It's about getting the job done, and so if you kind of get rid of that, then that's a huge part of the leadership lesson. And I've just seen that in abundance in all of you. And I look forward to, seeing what Jordan accomplishes as he goes on to college, and what the rest of you will continue to do as leaders in SGA. And so we hope that some people will tune in and listen and learn a little bit more about SGA. And that's pretty much will wrap it up. We've reached the end of another edition of What's Bruin podcast, and you can find the link to this podcast on the South Florence homepage and on our Facebook page. Like and follow us at the Studio South 535. Additionally, the podcast will be shared in the Bruin Blast that goes out weekly. In episode 3, we'll be talking to the staff and faculty who work with the Florence One Center for the Arts here at South Florence. So that's one you don't want to miss. And again, special thank you to our sound engineer, Eric Terry.